Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jill Trotterman with Feeding the Family, streaming live on Santa Cruz Voice, santacruzvoice.com. It's hard to feel like you don't belong, that people hate you, like you should disappear, and you basically shouldn't exist. But those feelings of rejection, dejection are being challenged by a groundbreaking program right here in Santa Cruz, California. From the soil of their urban farm, people find the tools they need to rebuild their homes in the world. Over 90% of the graduates of their year-long program obtained stable jobs and housing with 3 months of completion. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Santa Cruz Homeless Garden Project. And today we are talking with the Director of Development, Paul Goldberg, and the Executive Director, Derry Ganshorn. Welcome, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Good to be here.
Hi, I'm very happy to have you both. So Santa Cruz Voice right now, we are working in conjunction with the Santa Cruz Gives campaign, and we are promoting and supporting our wonderful and creative nonprofits out there in the world. And I am a big fan of what you guys do. So I do believe in 2026, you're expanding and you're going to build out a new farm on the Natural Bridges property. So welcome to both of you. And let's get started by sharing a little bit about the history. I know it began many, many years ago. Derry, why don't you start us off? I think it was 1990 you guys started the Homeless Garden.
That's right.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That's right. The project was started in 1990 by Paul Lee and Lynn Cooper, and started initially on some land on Pelton Avenue. And the idea was to provide meaningful work and opportunities to get paid on farmland. And we've grown and expanded and refined our program over those years. We lost that land in 1998. And it's been sort of a driving force for us since 1993 to, make sure that we have a secure site where we can be sure to provide this service, because we've found that it's a really needed and valued service to people experiencing homelessness.
I can see that. I just know driving around, I visually see a lot of homeless folks, and I know there's many, many more that are unseen in our communities. And Paul, share with us what your role is at the Homeless Garden Project.
Yeah, well, I'm the development director. I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary with the program. I had heard about the program before I even lived on this coast through friends who had gone to CAFIS. And it was always such a beautiful vision and holistic program. How can an organic farm help end homelessness? And so it's just so beautiful the way we work, and the way we can benefit the community as a whole. We're an environmental organization. We grow local food. We distribute organic produce throughout the community, all while our main program is to help people who are unhoused obtain jobs and obtain housing. So I'm thrilled to be able to work for such a great organization. And, I've been here close to 10 years, all because, nonprofits need support to function. Mm-hmm. So, the community does so much for us, and contribute financially is what we need most of all. And around 2/3 of our operating budget comes from individual support. So it really makes a huge difference on what we do.
I can see that. And you guys have been around, obviously, for many decades now. And clearly, you've probably helped thousands of people. I don't know what your statistics are, but from the one above, 90% of the graduates obtain housing. And I can imagine that is the primary goal, correct?
That is right. Obtain jobs and housing really became our metric. It's kind of, Derry was mentioning about our history. When the program was initially founded, we were founded with the idea of just creating a community garden that invited people who are unhoused to come in, connect with the soil, get their hands in the soil, get a bit of food, fresh, organic, healthy produce, and really just have a safe space where to be. And as we were talking with folks who would come to the site, folks would say, what I really need is I need money. I need a job. So we developed the metric of jobs and housing. And, Derry went to a pretty influential conference that really helped bring that along. Do you want to speak to that, Derry?
Yeah, I was able to be part of National Transitional Jobs Network's initiative called Working to End Homelessness, National Community of Practice. And we were one of 22 national organizations that use transitional employment as a strategy to help people move out of homelessness. And there's a lot that working does. Working and employment is considered a health intervention. It provides structure, stability. Getting a wage provides stability for people. When we first started working this way, we were able to work with people who had been, had no permanent or steady connections in the community until they had this work site to show up to every day. And a lot of personal growth and development of well-being can happen from those regular connections, from the sense of being productive and belonging and the sense of accomplishment. And also, I guess the last thing is, belonging to something bigger than yourself just gives a really strong sense of meaning. And we all need that, including people experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, you brought up some really big words like accomplishment, belonging, productivity. I just throw in purpose, right? People need that. And having what you call transitional jobs, or it's like a step into the job force right? Is that the strategy?
That's right. Yeah, transitional employment is a strategy where, we're hiring folks on into work, but it's not the ultimate, it's not their destination. We're not going to be their job for perpetuity, Right. It's, the program has been honed. It was a 3-year program at one point, and it's been honed down to a 1-year long program. And so folks in our program, they work 20 hours a week with us. They're paid for that work while we provide one-on-one support services. Everyone works with a social work intern that's overseen by our MSW staff members. And so each trainee has a one-on-one support to help overcome obstacles to success and stability. But honing the program down from 3 years to 1, and really adding that metric of let's make sure folks get into jobs and get into housing. That really evolved with the program. And part of the program's history, I think, really impacts also where we are this time of year. So we started to hire people on for the growing season for our farm. But then we were laying people off as the program was evolving and starting. We started to lay people off. We didn't have work over the winter months when it's raining and the crops are in cover crop. And that actually, we found that wasn't helping folks when they need kind of that support most. When it starts raining outside and it gets cold, folks really need that extra support. And so that's really evolved our value-added enterprise. So we have our organic farm enterprise, but then we make more than 60 products out of what we grow on the farm. We make Bath and Body Works products, lotions, salves, soaps. We make baking mixes, salt mixes, and hand-dipped candles and soy candles. And so we started to do that over these winter months, and it found it was a really great way to keep people employed year-round. So, we started to pop up in temporary holiday stores. So many people in the community know us for this time of year for getting their holiday gifts, because for a long, long time, we would just pop up in open storefronts. Now that program is year round, and we have a store year round. We actually have a second location in Capitola,
Nice.
in addition to our store on Pacific Avenue. For this season, we're at 1339 Pacific Avenue, which is right across from the El Palomar building and the Santa Cruz coffee roasters. That's where our year-round store has been located, but unfortunately, we had a flood from the plumbing above, so we actually had to move across the street. But it's a beautiful store, and we really, invite the community to come on out and check out our goods there. And so it's making these products and learning how to make the products and being able to sell them that really helps add to our year-round calendar. We've moved from the farm in October into our value-added workshop where we're making these products. And then January through March, we really focus on job prep. We have a job series that really focuses on workforce development. So that's really what helps us keep a year-round calendar, keep people supported year-round, and really help us get to that metric. As you said, since 2014, 95% of our graduates have obtained stable employment, and 88% have obtained housing. Last year, it was 93% who got both jobs and housing of our graduates within 3 months of leaving the program.
That's incredible. Those are great statistics, Paul and Derry, really. I think you guys should be patting yourselves on the back. Homelessness has such many layers to it that are often misconstrued, right? People have judgments, and it's not fun to be homeless. I used to work at a homeless shelter, and the statistics weren't good at that homeless shelter. But it would seem like with the program that you guys are offering with counseling, jobs, learning all these trades, how to make these wonderful products, candles and all that, you would think that there would be a line out the door of people applying. Is that true? Do our homeless populations, do they want to be there? Do people fall through the cracks, or do they not sometimes make it in the program?
It is true. We have a long waiting list, and we would like to be serving more people. And of course, we're limited by staff, and we pay trainees, so we raise some of the money for that. And we would like to be serving more people. That's one of our kind of strategic discussions that we're having as an organization. And, picking back up on what Paul said about the transitional employment strategy, the idea is that people cycle through the program and out into the community to get jobs. And one of our trainees a while back, Andrew, I'm going to paraphrase what he said, but he said something like, I've planted a lot of seeds here. I've made my impact. I planted a lot. He was saying this at one of our suppers. I planted all the seeds of what you're eating tonight. And I've made my mark, and now I'm ready to move on into the community and let someone else have this opportunity. So that's really the idea, is to continue to provide opportunities to as many people as we can.
Wow, that gives me the chills, honestly.
Yeah, it's an incredibly inspiring and compelling experience to watch trainees move through the program. We hold a weekly circle meeting, and I got to be there today, where all the trainees come and a large part of our frontline staff come. And today, one of our trainees graduated, and we go around in a circle, and everyone has an opportunity to congratulate him and to appreciate his strength. And then he had an opportunity to speak about, his experience in the project and his hopes for the future. And one of our values is we value the capacity of all individuals for growth and renewal. And I think that's such an important value to see that, people can change, people can grow, and providing people an opportunity to make a really big difference in a life.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more valuable of giving somebody hope and purpose and recognition and honoring them, right, as a human being.
Right.
And
Yeah, we do a lot of that. We, in the social work program, we use motivational interviewing, and we also use a positive psychology framework, which is a lot about looking at people's strengths and building on people's strengths rather than focusing on people's deficits.
Right. Because I'm sure people come from compromised backgrounds, maybe incarceration, drug use, mental health issues.
Yes, and foster care and
Right.
people who have been good or have had health issues and had issues with poverty because of the health issues. So there's a really wide range of stories of how people come to the Homeless Garden Project. And often it's more than just one thing. It's a number of things that happen.
Right.
Due to somebody's homelessness.
Wow.
But
Paul?
yeah, and it's just really amazing. What I found that really changed my perspective is, excuse me, how everyone's story is unique. We can think of these things, incarceration, drug abuse, mental illness, and we think, oh, that's someone's cause. And usually that's a way oversimplification, and oftentimes they're symptoms of poverty. Rather than causes of poverty. But it's just what I really have taken away is that, everyone's story is unique. Everyone's story is relatable to some degree because we're all human, and and the paths people took, just, it makes sense. And we see the gaps in society where we've let, as a society, we've let folks down. But what I really encourage folks to do is to come onto our website, and that's the homelessgardenproject.org, and really look at our blog. It's under the About Us drop-down menu, and we have testimonials from our trainees, and no one can really explain our work and our impact better than the trainees in our program.
I bet they, right?
Yeah, sorry, Jill.
No, go ahead. Yeah, continue on. I'm just engaged.
Yeah, everyone's, these testimonials, folks are encouraged to tell their story. And, you can follow all these different people's tales, and really they can speak to what the program does, what led them into, being unhoused, and then how the program can help support people, connect with the community and really rebuild their lives.
Paul, you were talking about sharing Kelly's, that little excerpt from Kelly's talk.
Yeah, I'd love to read that. We do one or two fundraising dinners out at the farm. They're called the Sustained Suppers. They're really amazing. A great way to experience the farm and share in the bounty and have the food on your plate by great chefs. And then we have trainees give a testimonial there. So our graduate Kelly Knight spoke in October, and one little excerpt here is the garden itself became my safe place. I remember the first day I started working the soil. It was hard, backbreaking work, but there was something peaceful about it, too. Watching the seed I planted slowly sprout reminded me that maybe I could grow, too. I learned responsibility, patience, and that growth doesn't happen overnight. The camaraderie with my fellow trainees, the laughter, the shared struggles, and the support reminded me that I wasn't alone anymore. I was part of something bigger than myself. There are so many out there still struggling, still living in the darkness I once knew. I'm here as a voice for them to say that change is possible, that a second chance is real, and that the Homeless Garden Project is a place where it can begin.
Wow, that's a tearjerker right there. I'm telling you. I'm sure that's just one of many heartbreaking stories and heartfelt stories you've heard, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's so many stories like that on our blog. And if you talk to each one of our trainees right now, you would have a story like that. And, all of the stereotypes of people experiencing homelessness have just been so shaken, just destroyed by the people that we're serving. And that's one reason why we have our volunteer program, is because we really want to bring people together in the beauty and security of the farm and help people relate to one another just as people, not as a homeless person or a person with a house. There's a wonderful network of people who support the organization and come connect with the soil or connect in the store to help our organization operate and flourish.
Absolutely. Well, I love what you guys have been doing for all these years, and I understand that you've got over 1,500 volunteers. Is that right?
That is great.
Right. And we hit a high water mark of close to 3,000 1 year prior to the pandemic. So we've been coming back since 2020, and 1,500 folks contribute annually. And there's a role for everyone, to come on out to the farm. You can volunteer. Our holiday store needs folks. It's a great way to connect with our program. And as Derry said, just when you're relating with people in our program, you really get to see people as who they are, people as people. And you can really feel that change. And it supports them. It allows folks in our program to understand that the community cares about them. And it also changes everyone who comes. It's really a positive for the volunteers as well.
It does seem like it's a positive all around, that the people are getting the help. It's people are having compassion. You're bringing the community together. And I think that's the most important thing, is having our community support what you guys are doing. And that's what we're doing here today, folks, is encouraging everybody to be really generous with all of these amazing nonprofits we have in our town of Santa Cruz County, California. And while we are a small county, we have so many amazing people, and we do have people who need your help more than ever. We have people who have lost their way a little bit, but now we have these amazing programs like the Homeless Garden Project, who can help shepherd those people back into a productive, meaningful life. And so what's the website, you guys, Derry and Paul? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find us at homelessgardenproject.org. You can do online shopping there if you can't get to our store either on Pacific or on the Capitola Esplanade. You can do online shopping. You can make a gift directly there. There's a how to give page where it talks about retirement distributions or stock gifts, or really all the different ways folks can support us. Matching gifts, when your employer will match a contribution you make. That's a way to really double your impact right away. And then you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter, or not anymore Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then of course Santa Cruz Gives. We love being a part of our beautiful community. There's 72 nonprofits on there. They all do great work, but we are so grateful for your support of our work as well.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you guys are so fantastic. So everyone knows you can volunteer, support financially, you can donate farm supplies, and we really want to support your new effort. I'm really excited about the new garden space by Natural Bridges you guys are going to set up, and I would love to maybe have a tour. I could swing by one day.
Oh, we'd love to give you a tour.
Thank you. Well, all my best and happy holidays to you folks, and lots of blessings to the work that you're doing. And thank goodness you're out there. Really, I'm humbled by what your work is. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jill.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jill.
All right, Derry and Paul, all my best, and thanks again. All right, you guys. Jill Trot. Thank you. All right, we'll catch up with you guys soon. So everyone, bye-bye. So everyone out there, I'm gonna continue on. We have another guest coming up from the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center. Her name is Julie, and she's the executive director, and we will have her in the studio live when we return from this quick commercial break. Okay, that wasn't so quick, but here it comes.
Showroom and Garden Center in Scotts Valley. Maybe the folks out there might want to know where you are.
Absolutely. To find Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box Company, just head up into beautiful Scotts Valley. We're off of Highway 17 with only 2 X's to choose from. We're at 46 El Pueblo Road, next door to Scarborough Lumber and the beautiful nursery. We have a great showroom displaying all the many choices in roofing, from tile, composition, steel, flat systems in many styles, and now solar. And when it comes to wood items, we have It's All About Wood gift shop. And of course, the Knox Garden Box. What's a Knox box? Lots to look at. And while you're in Scotts Valley, check out the town. There's nice restaurants, breweries, wineries, shopping, hotels, farmers markets, and the entrance to the beautiful redwoods. Okay, folks, as always, we appreciate all of you out there. We'd love to see you at Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box store. And we can also come see you as well. Okay, thanks, folks.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at your locally owned Hook Outlet, where everybody above the age of 21 can participate in the Hook's loyalty program. Each purchase earns you 2% store credit on your next purchase. Get hooked up with the best cannabis at affordable prices at the Hook Outlet in Capitola and Watsonville, or order online at hookoutlet.com. Get hooked up at the Hook.
Attention investors. This is a simple commercial on the investment value of gold. Gold continues to make new highs. In good markets and in bad markets, you need to have your portfolio balanced with gold. Learn about owning physical gold or getting a gold-backed IRA. Make this simple call right now.
800-414-1657. 800-414-1657. That's 800-414-1657.
Sponsored by Reagan Gold.
All right, everybody, we are back. I'm Jill Trotterman with Feeding the Family. And this campaign is called Santa Cruz Giving. It's all about supporting local nonprofits. And today I've got with me Julie Masezovic, and she is the executive director of the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
So this is a place where women who are having struggles in their lives, they are perhaps compromised, maybe they've experienced domestic or intimate violence, and this is a place where they can come. And you guys have been doing this service for 90 years.
Yes.
Is that right? So this is a staple, fortunately and unfortunately, in our town, but God bless you that we have this as a resource. And so this is a strength-based family center that has provided services for women, children, and families in Santa Cruz County, like I said, for 90 years. It used to be the YMCA, I believe.
That's right.
And many participants are from underserved populations. They lack stable housing. And these programs include that they provide, and Julie's going to tell us all about them, early education, services for children and youth, and services for survivors of the domestic violence. And so this is all about community engagement. So again, welcome. Welcome to Feeding the Family.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be here and get the word out a little bit about Walnut Avenue. I do want to clarify, because we are often misrepresented as only serving women. So I want to let people know that we serve all ages and all genders at Walnut Avenue. We have been around for 91 years, starting out as a YWCA. And then in the 90s, we really turned focus of more resources towards working with survivors of domestic violence. But we have had early education programs for over 50 years. And then, of course, as a Y, we have been doing youth empowerment services for over 90. So all of those programs we still continue to do, and we're right down in the city of Santa Cruz.
Yeah, it's like when you think 90 years, like people had problems 90 years ago like we do today. I'm sure the problems are a little bit
Absolutely.
different, but still people struggle.
Yes.
Are things changing? Is there hope? With programs like yours, you're helping shore people up, giving them resources, education, maybe financial assistance.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your
absolutely.
programs that you do, and tell me maybe even a story or two about some of the clients you've helped.
Sure. So our Santa Cruz Gives campaign really focuses on our services for survivors. So I'm going to focus a little bit on that. But just to say, with the early education, we serve in early education low-income families. It's a fully bilingual program. We can serve kids ages 0 to 5. And so that is a high need in Santa Cruz County. There's not a lot of programs out there. So definitely look at us up on our website if that's something that you're interested in. But our services for survivors of domestic violence, we provide many different services, one of which is we do a training twice a year. So if you want to become a certified advocate, we will train volunteers twice a year. It's a 40-hour state-mandated curriculum. And then those folks help us out with our hotline. So we have a 24-hour hotline to support people who are experiencing intimate partner violence or teen dating violence. We do one-on-one advocacy with survivors. We do legal advocacy and court accompaniment. Sometimes the hardest part about having these experiences is many people choose not to involve law enforcement or go through the justice system. And so that is absolutely a path to take as well. But when people do decide to go through that, the legal process can be extremely daunting and scary. And so we have legal advocates that will go to court with you, that will help you with this restraining order paperwork. I mean, these packets are 12 pages long of legalese, and it can be really difficult to navigate, especially if you're in a time of crisis. Something really scary happened to you. You might be injured. You might be unhoused. And so our advocates can help walk you through that process and even go to court with you and sit next to you in the courthouse. We provide support groups, particularly on Thursdays. Is what we call family night. So if you want to attend one of our support groups for survivors of domestic violence, we have one in English and one in Spanish happening at the same time. We do provide dinner and childcare because we realize that if folks don't have their basic needs met, they can't actually show up and get services for themselves. So we really try to wrap folks around with the basic needs that will allow them to seek the services that they need.
Yeah, that seems like a really holistic approach because you can't just help someone in one area and not the others, right? So this seems like a very
Absolutely.
comprehensive, well thought out application to help support.
Yeah, and when you're talking about families that are experiencing violence, it often is a multi-generational whole family situation, and in fact, whole community.
It is.
And
How so in the whole? Tell me more about that.
Well, when I say whole community, I just think, we are not alone. None of us are alone. You asked me before about hope, and yes, there is a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope because there are many people out there who have experienced this. And one of the things we love about having support groups is that you can meet other people who are experiencing the same thing. And we have highly skilled advocates to facilitate those groups. And I think the idea of the family night is just creating that community. You're not the only one that's experienced this. It can be very stigmatizing and you can feel a lot of shame. But it does unfortunately cycle through families. And so the
cycle of violence, you mean?
The cycle of violence. So, a lot of the folks that become the folks that do harm have experienced violence themselves in their own homes, and they just haven't learned other ways. Domestic violence is really about power and control. And so when you're a child, if you experience abuse, your power is taken away from you. And you learn certain coping skills, certain habits, and you model after the only people you have in your life to model after. And then those habits happen when you become a parent or when you get in a relationship. And so that is a normal experience, and we want to try and intervene. I mean, ideally, prevention is where it's at, and that's why we have so many children and youth programs. We want to intervene before the next generation might start using violence in their relationship as well.
How does a program or a community do prevention? What are ways that we can implement, like you're sharing really important things like language, how children are able to express themselves or parents are able to express themselves to break that violence, right? So maybe people react physically when they want to really say it, like, I'm really frustrated right now that you haven't cleaned up your room.
Yes.
And instead of being able to say that, they'll just hit the kid. Am I simplifying this?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a very complex situation, but what you're saying really points to, I always find it amazing that we are not trained in high school. We don't get parenting classes. We don't get relationship classes, right? So, but
I'm shaking my head, nodding really emphatically because
Right.
I couldn't think this is so important. Why aren't we teaching these life skills?
Right. And in fact, we do. So Walnut Avenue does come into the high schools. That's part of our services for children and youth. And we do what we call healthy relationship classes. And we talk about consent. We talk about being an ally if you're witnessing a friend or a family member who is going through this. Because one thing I do advise, this is a very vulnerable population. It can be very dangerous to intervene yourself. So we always encourage that you call one of the hotlines and you talk to a trained advocate and just get some input about what is the safest way, the best way to intervene if friends or family are dealing with this, because you can inadvertently cause risk to somebody that you care about in your attempts to intervene. And we just would love to provide some support around that. And we have a 24-hour hotline just for that purpose.
Right. These are like really big issues. So I'm sure a compassionate friend might want to jump in there. But the best thing, what you're saying, Julie, to do is to call the hotline. What is that hotline number? Do you have that on hand or?
Yes, our hotline number is 1-866-2-MY-ALLY. I do not in this moment have those numbers in my head, but 1-866-2-MY-ALLY, and you can always go to our website at wafwc.org.
Okay, these are great resources, and I wonder how many people out there are struggling, and how great it is that we have this in our community. Now, the people that are coming, you're saying they're men and women, and do they bring children with them? Do you have a residential facility?
We do not have a residential facility. We can provide emergency accommodations if somebody is in a crisis situation trying to leave a violent situation immediately. We do have ways of providing emergency accommodations, but the first thing we're going to do is devise a safety plan. We're going to assess the situation. We're going to listen to what the current problem is. We're going to look for potential friends or family members that might be a safe and more comfortable place for them to be, because we always want to surround people with trusted advisors. But we can do that emergency accommodations. We do have food, clothing, anything really that somebody might need. If they're deciding to walk out of a violent situation today, they can walk in the door and we will try to wrap them with services and provide them with a safety plan.
Wow, this is a huge resource, everybody out there who's listening, or if you know of somebody, a neighbor, someone in our town that you see is having a struggle, please reach out to the Walnut Avenue Family and Women's Center. And so you're providing counseling, and do you do like GED training for people maybe if they didn't finish their high school diplomas and
We do not specifically do that on site, but we will talk about a lot of what we do is resourcing folks.
Right.
So we only do so much on site, but we definitely want to set people up to succeed. So if we are working with someone, for example, on housing, we're going to obviously have to look at, in order to sustain housing around here, you're going to have some sort of income that can manage, and that's particularly hard in Santa Cruz County, as we all know.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, not just like people in crisis, but I think a lot of people could use.
That's right.
Okay, this is why we're doing fundraising for all of these really important nonprofits in Santa Cruz County, because we know as a community, we are stronger and healthier when our most marginalized are helped. So if we can help those people who need it most, then that's just going to be better for our whole entire community on a global scale as well.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to reach out. It's easy to, I know your shelter, it's not a shelter, but it's a facility that you'll accept cash Financial donations.
All of our services are free, but yes, absolutely, donations we will accept in any form.
Right? Okay,
Yes.
good. And then you accept also volunteers that come into your program as well?
We do.
With
We
training?
accept a broad range of volunteers. So anywhere from, like I said, being on our hotline, which is a 1-year commitment where you will actually walk away with a certification as a certified advocate for survivors. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have 1-day events like the She is Beautiful race is coming up. And it's a 1-day event. You can show up, support the runners, and rally on behalf of Walnut Avenue. And I would like to highlight that right now we are recruiting for our board of directors. And so we would love local folks who are really interested in the programs that we're providing. We would love, in particular, representation from the Latino population, because that's a big percentage of who we serve, and just locals who want to volunteer a couple hours a month and support us.
And as far as your facility goes, you say it's downtown.
We're right downtown on Walnut and Chestnut.
Oh, yeah, I can see the building now, actually.
Yes,
Right.
still has the Y sign. It's a historical building, actually.
Oh,
so
it is?
still has the YWCA sign on the wall.
Right. And what brought you into this field, personally?
Good question. I think we all come because we have a personal stake in these sorts of things. My parents were very young. They had 3 kids. My mom had 3 kids before she was 25. We were low income. My mom is a survivor. She's a childhood survivor of emotional domestic violence. And so I can see the effects on her, and I see them through all the generations, including myself and my children. So I know what that looks like. And I feel really invested in prevention. Ideally prevention. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of funding out there to do prevention. There's not a lot of funding to do intervention, but more so than the prevention piece. And I'm actually a licensed psychologist, so I'm just very aware of mental health, and of course, mental illness runs in my family as well. So I just feel deeply moved to support folks who are dealing with these sorts of really challenging and very stigmatizing family issues. I just want folks to know they're not alone, and the help is out there.
Yeah, and I like that you brought that word up, stigmatization, because I'm speculating that might be a reason people have shame. They don't want to admit that this is going on. So it takes a certain amount of courage.
Absolutely.
To muster up that strength to go and get the help and make that phone call or physically drive down or tell a friend, like, I'm in a bad place.
And it can be dangerous.
Right. You brought that up too. The
riskiest part of the highest risk time period of in a domestic violence relationship is right after you leave. That is the highest rate of homicide. It is the most dangerous time. And so that's why we encourage folks to call the hotline. Speak with somebody first, develop a safety plan, and if exiting is your goal, we can help walk you through that, and you can do a very strategic and careful exit plan that would reduce the risk.
I mean, the fact that you guys provide that resource of really the strategy of how to do it. It's not willy-nilly, here's a sweater and here's a bus token, good luck. Right. It's really well thought out, because you don't want these people to end up back in a situation that's going to sabotage their health, safety, essentially.
And that is a large proportion of folks that are unhoused have experienced this domestic violence. And imagine that
goes
choice.
Together, doesn't it?
Imagine going back to a violent household or living on the streets, and that's a very difficult choice. And a lot of folks don't want to leave their relationship, and so there are paths for that as well in some circumstances. We do have a restorative justice program as well, which is about supporting both sides of the relationship and trying to find accountability. And ultimately, the goal is that the children are not experiencing the violence, that we're reducing the violence, and hopefully the next generation is not going to be experiencing that same thing. And then that reminds me, it takes me back, I wanted to say before, there are excellent parenting programs out there that will help parents who, like I said, my parents were super young. They didn't have a lot of skills and they didn't have great modeling. But there's positive parenting and positive discipline out there that I would encourage all parents. If you've experienced what you might not experience as optimal parenting growing up. These are incredible ways to learn new skills and to bring your children up in a way that doesn't involve physical violence, or just that you might feel like you have more skills to handle some of the really tough situations, because parenting is very hard. It's hard for all of us.
I know. I'm sure I've done plenty of damage. I apologize. Even to this day, my kids are older. I'm like, sorry. I always said I'd pay for therapy if they need it. But you had an awareness, like you knew like something was not right, and you got training as a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
That's right.
And you wanted to break that chain, because I know for a fact that it impacts our DNA when we're under chronic stress.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It does get passed on. They call it generational trauma. Is that
right.
true?
That's right. Generational trauma, which I think can happen racially. I mean, we certainly see that in terms of Indigenous folks or people of color experiencing this, racist trauma that kind of happens intergenerationally. But then violence is another thing. If you're witnessing it and experiencing it, it lives in our DNA. It affects so much about our life, both just coming through our DNA, but then whatever you're watching, the conditioning of it as well, and normalization.
Right. And hopefully we can start breaking those in our modern day. 2026 is coming up, and maybe we'll evolve as a species. And
let's hope for that.
I'm just hoping for some evolution.
Yes.
And to be more compassionate towards each other and more loving and hopeful, and be good with our people. I think parents have a really tough go. One question I had, Julie, is there ever help for the perpetrator of the violence? Like, where does that person come in? Or that's not your job, because you're working with the survivors and the victims of it. But those people also, of course, are traumatized themselves.
Exactly.
And they need help too, but maybe those are the people who are going to end up in prison or...
Yeah. Well, possibly...
somewhere.
Or not in prison, and then repeating the cycle in another relationship.
Right.
And so we absolutely want those folks to come forward and seek help. And we have a program at Walnut Avenue called Space for Change. Monarch Services also has a positive solutions program. And so, like I said before, a lot of times these folks are traumatized themselves, and we have to embrace that, and we have to try and understand, what did this person go through? How did they learn these habits? And what is this a mental health, disorder that they're struggling with? There's help out there for that as well. So it's very important, I think, to support both sides if we're ever going to see these cycles truly come to an end.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point to, that we need to help those people too, to break to break the chains. Are other countries experiencing the level of domestic violence that we have in the United States?
That's a good question. I do not have stats around that offhand.
I know I didn't give you that question in advance, but I was just wondering, are we extra messed up in America, or is it circumstantial?
I think it depends on the country that we're talking about. Certainly there are countries out there who do not, I want to be diplomatic in my speaking, that do not treat women equally.
Okay.
Right? And
my gosh, yes.
And so there's a lot of challenges in those countries for sure around women's rights and a husband's right to hit their wife or that sort of thing. But I don't know the exact stats on that, so I'll refrain from.
We'll stick to Santa Cruz. We'll just stick to our county. But we do have our own culture here. But we don't like violence, so training people in that. And
yeah, and it's a tough environment right now, because we do have folks at a very high political level that are modeling bullying and using really negative ways of talking about people and to people, and that's difficult. How do we educate our children about bullying, and then they see it in the mainstream among our political leaders? So that's extremely challenging, and that's why schools need to be teaching healthy relationships.
I know. Yeah, I'm just shaking my head like, oh gosh, that's it's true. Our leaders are not being good examples of how to be a healthy communicator.
Correct.
Emotional health, emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Right?
And healthy relationships. Yeah.
Right. And so what are the hours if people were to come to you? Is it early in the morning, 8 to 5? And
Yeah, so we are open from 9 to 5. Like I said, we do have a 24-hour hotline
Right.
for all of the in-between, but we do walk-in hours each of those days. I would say the easiest thing to do is give us a call 9 to 5 if you're able to,
Okay.
and set an appointment up. There are times certainly when an advocate is not available, or if there's 2 or 3 people ahead of you, and then you're going to find yourself waiting a couple hours. So if it's a crisis situation, just get here and we will, do what we need to do, or call the hotline. And if not, you can always call the hotline any time of the day, or you can walk in the door, or you can call for an appointment.
I love that. And tell me more about the teens. We only have a few more minutes left, but, they're getting ready to launch out into the world. I feel like they always need a little extra support as they're leaving the family of origin, not necessarily leaving, but you know what I mean, going off and blazing their own path.
Yeah, this is such a profound time in our lives, and lots of opportunity for risks as well. So we really see our teen programs as our prevention efforts, because
Right.
we know to truly change these cycles, we need to intervene before the next generation starts parenting or being in their relationship. So we have a Tuesday night, what we call Teen Tuesday. It's a group for teens. You do not need to be a survivor to attend. It's really just an opportunity to be with like-minded peers and talk about whatever's on your mind and work with some of our amazing volunteers. We had a gingerbread house building contest last night with some fun prizes. So that's just an example of something that we might do. And then, like I said, we go into the middle schools and the high schools and we do healthy relationship classes. And then for the little ones, we provide that childcare during our services. If you come in for a support group, your child is in a group of their own, and we're doing fun art activities, or I think we built snowmen this week, where we're trying to do just trauma-informed activities with those kids as well, while the parents are seeking their support. I do want to shout out, we're going to be at the MA for First Friday in February. It will be Teen Dating Awareness Month.
Oh, that's great. Teen Dating Awareness. This is a Museum of Art History in downtown Santa Cruz, right?
Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month.
Violence Awareness, okay.
And we right now are recruiting young artists. What we do is a poster contest. So if you want to create a piece of art to represent Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, we would love your submissions. And then the winner will be our poster that we will plaster all over town to advertise this event coming up in February. So please send us your artwork.
God, well, this is fantastic for a group that works with some serious issues. You are providing a world of difference for so many thousands and thousands of people out there. So thank you so much for what you're doing, Julie.
Thank you very much.
And the Walnut Avenue Families and Women's Center, please be generous, everybody in Santa Cruz and from around the world. Support our amazing educators and directors who are doing this really fabulous work for our community. Really, it's amazing. Really, truly amazing work that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So I am Jill Trotterman with Feeding the Family, streaming live on Santa Cruz Voice. So please give generously, Santa Cruz community. We love all of your support, and we sure do love our community so much. So I'll be signing out, and happy holidays, happy New Year, lots of love, and peace out. Bye-bye.